Hello again. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Dr. Kimara Grimes, and I am here to introduce to each of you on this call right now a phenomenal woman, a woman who is making a difference in her life in this world because she exists. Without her, the world would be different, a different place. So please allow me to introduce to you Karen R. Jenkins. She is the dynamic president and CEO of KRJ Consulting LLC, an organizational growth and human capital consulting firm focused on transforming people, strengthening culture, and building leadership capacity. With over 38 years of experience, including serving as a vice president at NetBank. Karen is nationally recognized speaker, author, certified coach, and leadership consultant, known for turning potential into performance across both the federal and corporate sectors, driven by passion for leadership and relentless commitment to helping others. Karen founded KRJ Consulting in 2008. Her dedication paid off for sure in 2020. The company earned national recognition, landing at number 546 on the Inc. 5,000 list. Look, I'm just saying, this happened because of her rapid growth. Today, Karen continues to customize KRJ services to meet the unique needs of every client, creating lasting impact through their signature approach, Synergy Leadership. Come on, y'all. Synergy Leadership is more than a philosophy. It is a movement. Karen teaches leaders how to engage, how to enlighten, and how to empower their teams by transforming energy into action. Her leadership framework inspires confidence, decision-making, strategy thinking, and inclusive cultural building at every level of an organization. Karen is also a recognized financial expert, having served as a media consultant for NBC affiliate WIS TV and authored the book, Nobody Told Me, The Path to Financial Empowerment in 2010. Her expertise bridges leadership and financial literacy, equipping individuals with tools to grow both professionally and personally. A pillar in the community, for sure. Karen made history as the first African-American woman to chair the Colombian Chamber of Commerce in its 121-year history. Wow. She also served on the executive board of the South Carolina Chamber of Commerce, where she chairs the Small Business Committee and is a member of the National Small Business Association Leadership Council. Come on, somebody. Do you hear me? She's phenomenal, dedicated, and giving back. Karen leads, eat, learn, and grow her signature group mentoring and coaching experience designed to uplift and guide small business leaders. Karen holds a BS in Business Management from the University of South Carolina and an MBA from Webster University. During her tenure as vice president at NetBank, she earned the prestigious Certified Mortgage Banking, CMB, and Accredited Mortgage Professional, AMP, designations from the National Mortgage Banking Association. She is also a certified housing counselor, certified entrepreneur instructor, and certified professional coach. Above all, Karen is a woman of faith, family, and service. A devoted wife, come on, you guys, of 35 plus years. A proud mother of two, and a community leader who believes in the power of relationships and leading without judgment. Her mission is simple yet powerful. Help people, add value, and make a difference. Please help me to welcome Karen R. Jenkins to our platform. Thank you, Karen. Please, please, please take it away, take it away, take it away. It is yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kim. You are so awesome. And I do appreciate all that you do for our small business community. You have made such an impact, not just on the community, but on me as well. So it is so good to be here, to be in the midst of this group. My goal by the time we finish, as Kim mentioned, is my company and my motto is that we help people add value and make a difference. And I'm hoping that by the time we get to the end of this session today, that we do just that. So I want to jump in and let me share my screen because we have some things to talk about. Let me see. So let me share first and then I'll put me in share. And then I think I can put me in presentation mode. Let's see if that works. Okay. I guess I should have done this first. Let's start out with what we're talking about today. Our philosophy at KRJ Consulting, when we talk about synergy leadership, is engage, enlighten, empower. So our process, we call that the E3 model. And engage means that we want to make sure that you understand what's in it for you. We want to get your attention so that you're locked in. You're listening intently for what we're going to be sharing. And once we get your attention and you understand exactly what's in it for you, then we're going to just pour into you. We'll give you a new skill set. We're going to provide some information, but pouring some knowledge into you that you can actually take and apply immediately. And what that does is that knowledge that you're now obtaining empowers you to be able to do things that you may not have even known that you were capable of doing. And by doing all of that, we feel that creates the synergy. And for us, so for me, synergy is the ability to leverage my energy and the energy that I bring with those that are around me so that we can accomplish some things that we probably could not have done on our own. So today, we're going to be talking about harnessing synergy for business and personal breakthrough, teaching you how to go from reactive types of leadership to intentional leadership. And we all know that in our lives that there are things that happen. And sometimes before we know it, we actually react to something. And because we did it so promptly, it may not have been the best choice that we could have made had we gone into what I call response mode. So hopefully we'll talk a little bit about the advantage of responding versus reacting and the power that you obtain when you can go through the process of responding versus reacting. So Kim has already introduced you to me. I'm the president and CEO of KRJ Consulting, founder of the Cineverse. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But I want to talk to you about why we're here. Like, why does this session even matter? When I look at the people that I've dealt with over my career, I realize that most of the challenges that people have, whether it's business or personal, but today we're going to align it with business, is not about the challenges aren't about the strategy problems. You know, most people have solutions, right? But even when they have solutions, it may not necessarily prove to be the outcome that they want. And in those cases, what I found is that their alignment and their energy aren't aligned. And alignment provides a lot of things, especially clarity, and puts us in a position to be able to do things that we didn't think we could do. So when we look at misalignment, when we look at the fact that people aren't aware of the energy that they're bringing to the table, sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we're just burnout. You know, there's so much going on right now, the stress that we have, and burnout is real. So when we are burned out, we're not as clear-headed and can make the right judgments or the judgments that we want to make had we had a clear perspective. Misalignment creates inconsistent actions. When we're not at our best self, when we're not leaning in and at our fullest potential, we're the misalignment can cause some inconsistent action. And then we just talked about it. The reactive part of leadership actually limits our growth, because if we're in our highest and best use, there's some things that are happening in our lives that may not have been happening when we're not as aligned as we should be. And then sustainable success really starts with us. One of the things we talk about with leadership is a lot of people say, well, Karen, I'm not a leader. I'm not a supervisor. I'm not a manager. I'm not a boss. I don't own my company. But the reality is each and every one of us is a leader, because we have to lead the most important person first, and that's ourselves. And if we can lead ourselves and we can lead ourselves successfully, there's not much that we can't accomplish. So I want to go through just the objectives that I hope to cover today. And by the end of this session, I want you to fully understand how energy and alignment impact business outcomes. And we're going to talk about energy. I'll kind of define what energy is. Most people don't even think about energy as being part of a leadership strategy. I'll share with you our Synergy Reset framework that we have developed and designed to help people manage and lead through their energy. We'll talk about identifying your personal and business energy drains, because there's certain things that you're doing and maybe some things that you're not doing that's actually draining you. And we want to basically plug those leaks. And then practicing moving from reaction to intentional response. And again, that is going to be a critical component of what we talk about today. And then I want you to leave today with one clear reset action, one thing that, and there may be a multitude of things that you're going to hear today, but I'm only going to ask you to commit to one, and then you can go back and do the rest of them later. So for women and minority entrepreneurs, we face, especially now, in the current administration and the current environment that we're in. We were already facing some things, but they've been magnified in some instances. We're carrying personal, professional, and community responsibility. There's so much that we're responsible for. We're having to make decisions, sometimes life decisions, sometimes business decisions, sometimes personal decisions, while we're under a lot of pressure in the midst of a world of uncertainty. I share a conversation that I was in. The president or leader of the Richmond Federal Reserve came down to Columbia, South Carolina, which is where I'm located. We were at a chamber reception, and he came in and was talking to us last year, I think it was last April, about the economy and where we were and what was happening amidst this new administration. And the example that he used was where we are right now is like we're driving down the street and there's this massive amount of fog covering the environment that we're in. And when you're in the fog, you can't really put your foot on the accelerator like you want to or you need to. You're kind of taking your foot off the accelerator. You're kind of coasting. You're not going as fast because we don't know what's in front of us. But the flip side of that is we can't stop either. We can't come to a complete stop because we also don't know what's behind us and we don't know what's going to ram into us. So we're still moving, but we have to be very careful with our movement because of the uncertainty that's going on in our current environment. We are operating in survival mode instead of strategy mode. And if you think about it, when you're in survival mode, you're limited in scope, you're limited in what you're focusing on, and you really don't have time to strategize and talk about what's going to be happening 12 months, 36 months, 5 years from now. You are in true survival mode right now. And we want to talk about how do you manage around that? And then being resilient without being regulated. We need to work on our resiliency, but we also need to make sure that we're regulating our energy, regulating our health, regulating our mindset, because resilience without regulations leads to all this burnout that we're talking about. With that, I want to take a moment and introduce you to the Synergy Reset framework. And this framework is designed to to help you with all of these challenges I just mentioned, right? We want to restore your internal alignment. And some of you are like, restore it. Like, what is it, Karen? Well, we'll define that for you. We're going to talk about your internal alignment. What does that look like? We want to regulate your emotional and mental energy. And I'm telling you, from my perspective, we're all energy. And if you don't believe me, I don't know if you have carpet where you are right now, but if you don't, go home, rub your foot on some carpet and go touch someone. You literally feel electricity. And they were like, wait a minute, how did that happen? It happened because we're all energy. We want to look at improving our decision making. We want to look at strengthening our leadership presence. And then we want to support sustainable growth. Because the reality is, you don't lead with your title. You lead with your energy, you lead with your clarity, and you lead with your presence. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So the Synergy Reset Framework is a 4-step leadership reset. And you say, well, what do you mean, Karen? What is that? So I just talked to you about the fact that we're all energy. Now, let me back up a little bit. I did a TEDx talk almost 2 years ago in Myrtle Beach, and it was called Leveraging the Power of Energy Within. And the reality is that we're all energy beings. We all carry energy, and there's a vibrational frequency that our energy, depending on what's happening in our life, there's a vibrational frequency that we are emitting. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you what the young kids call it, the T. I want to give you the T now. And here's the T. Our thoughts create an emotion. That emotion, and I define emotions as energy in motion. So an emotion carries with it a vibrational frequency. It carries with it a level of energy. And if you don't believe me, so let's pause here and talk about this. You have gone around people that maybe there were 2 people in a room and they just finished this really, really bad argument. When you walk into that room, you can kind of feel the atmosphere. You kind of feel like something's going on. I had a scenario years ago. My husband and I went to a family member's house, and we just kind of knocked on the door, rang the doorbell, and we walked in. Literally, apparently they just had I won't say physical, but they just had a real bad argument up in there. And I could feel the negative catabolic energy, and my husband could feel it. And we just kind of looked at each other, and we sat there for a minute. We said hello and found a real good reason to leave right there, because I did not want to be in that environment. But on the flip side, you've gone into rooms, maybe a party or somebody was really joined, somebody was just born or whatever, and you walked into that room and it's just this energy of joy and passion and excitement, and you felt the energy in the room. So as humans, I think we go on autopilot and we don't recognize that we're actually carrying a level of energy depending on what's happening in our life at that particular moment. So when we look at the Synergy Reset Framework, it's really about first noticing what's happening internally and externally with me right now. Like I would ask you right now, what are you feeling? What's happening in your body? It may be a neutral energy. It may be I'm just here energy. It may be I just had a party a minute ago, so I'm still reeling off the happiness energy. It may be, before I got here, I had an argument with somebody and that I'm still replaying what they said to me in my head. So I'm kind of carrying a negative energy, even though I'm still sitting here trying to listen to what Karen is trying to say. But the first step that I want you to take in this reset process is to notice, pause and observe what's happening internally and externally within you. Once you notice it, the next step is to name it, because whatever's happening with you right now, there's a reason for it. There's a cause. So what prompted that energy to tune into that vibrational frequency? So we name it, identifying the real issue, the emotion, the pressure, the misalignment, the misunderstanding, the fact that somebody said something to you out the side of their neck, The fact that you got some bills coming and you stressed out about it. The fact that, you hoping you get this contract and you just got news that you didn't get it. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, whatever's causing this, I'm going to call it angst in you, name it. Then the next thing you want to do, step 3, is to neutralize it. You need to regulate your energy and your nervous system. Your energy causes your nervous system to do things. So when you're stressed, your cortisol levels go up. When you're stressed, you can go into what I call the fight or flight mechanism. I'll give you this as an example. If you are outside and you got word over the radio that the bear escaped from the zoo, and it happens to be out in your particular area, well, you didn't get wind of this until you parked the car and got out of the car. And there, 50 feet away, is this bear. Now, he's 50 feet away. The door to get inside your building is 10 feet away. So you got to figure out, how am I going to get from where I am now to there, or at least get back in the car so I'm safe. You are in fight or flight mode at that moment. And the only thing that you can think about is escaping and being safe. So at that point, all of the blood flows from your brain area and it goes into your extremities, because your body needs to be able to exert the energy that it needs to run and escape. That is, I'm going to call it catabolic energy, that the cortisol levels go up. And that's a coping mechanism. That's how you're saving your life, right? But once you get inside, when you're now in the meeting with the people and you're trying to lead your team, you don't need to have that same level of energy. But some of us don't recognize that that was the level of energy that we had in the first place, and we don't know how to self-regulate and go back to that sense of normalcy. The other thing I'll share with you is that when you're at that fight or flight, your perspective, your peripheral vision is shortened. So if you took your 2 hands and you put them right here, just like the horses when they're doing the riding buggy, you put it here, you have your blinders on. So you can't see to the right, you can't see to the left, you're just seeing right what's in front of you. And that's what you need to do when you're in that state of, I gotta protect myself. But the reality is, and I'll tell you this, when I'm at that level of stress, and this is what happens, when you're at a level of stress, your blinders go up and you're starting to try to protect yourself. But your perspective is also shortened because your body thinks that it's in danger. So whatever decisions that you're making, right? If I'm trying to make a decision as to which direction I'm going or what I'm going to be doing in business, I don't really want to be making a decision when this is all I can see. My decisions are better, right? Not that I'll make a wrong decision, but I might not make the best decision, because at this time I'm making a decision, but I can't see what's to the right or to the left of me. And I'm not even incorporating those things into my thought process when I make my decision. And when I take the blinder off, I was like, oh, you know what? I went and bought that chair over there. Why did I do that? Because this one was sitting right over here to my left. Why couldn't see it? So when I am in a state of flux, when I'm in a state of what I call catabolic energy, when I am stressed, whatever, I try my best not to make decisions until I can reset and come back and take my blinders off and make a better decision. Life or death, you got to do this. But when I'm at the job, I don't need to be at that level of energy. So understanding and recognizing how your nervous system is impacted and understanding the energy that you're carrying. When you understand it, you can then now regulate it. You can do exercises, and we'll talk about that. What can I do, Karen, when I'm stressed, when somebody, you were on your way to wherever you are now and somebody ran you off the road and shot you the bird. Yeah, your little heart gonna start beating. You probably say some colorful metaphors to the person and you're mad, right? But how do you woosah? How do you regulate back to that place of normalcy? So that's where we're talking about step 3 being the neutralized step. So after we've noticed it, then we've named it. Now we're going through the process of neutralizing it. Now we need to navigate. Choose your next aligned intentional action. Now that I've reset myself, right? I've recognized that I'm stressed. I've recognized that I'm in this place that might not be the place I really want to hang out all day. Now that I've done that, I want to figure out from here, I'm in my state of normalcy now. Now I need to navigate, where am I going to go from here? And you choose the next aligned intentional action, which is more like responding versus the reacting, where you're more close to that stress level. And this is a repeatable practice, and it's not a one-time fix. And it's the tips that I'm going to share with you on how you can reset is something that you can apply home, work, school, family, whatever, and share it with your family and your friends, because this isn't something we were taught, right? I mean, we got emotions, but nobody sits us down to talk about how do we handle our emotions. Nobody sits down and talk to us about, how do we identify what our subconscious is doing versus our conscious mind is doing. Nobody worked with us with these things. But successful people learn to manage self first before they go in and figure out how to manage others. So the alignment through the reset, alignment happens when you notice before you react. So some of you, when y'all get in arguments or things happen, you say stuff before you could even, your mouth starts opening before your brain can catch up. And sometimes y'all say things that maybe I wouldn't have said it that way, or maybe I wouldn't have said it. But by that time, too late. The house is out, the horse is out the barn. You already said what you were going to say. So you want to be in a position where when things happen, just a simple pause before you say anything. So notice before you react, name it instead of suppressing it, neutralize it instead of escalating it, and then navigate with intention instead of urgency. This alignment is not stillness. This alignment is actually clarity in motion. So I'm going to pause right here, and I want you to do a quick self-reflection. Where do I feel most drained in my business? So write that down. And I'm going to give y'all about 3 to 5 minutes. I'll leave this up on the screen. The next question is, what decision am I avoiding? Sometimes our stress levels come because we got to make some hard calls. This is a tough arena when, when our pipeline dried up, we had to make some tough calls. Did we have to lay some people off? Did we have to pull some other stuff? Did we have to, make some hard decisions? And you might be in that same boat. And then the next question is, where am I reacting instead of choosing? So let's give you 3 to 5 minutes. And I want y'all to answer those questions on your piece of paper. Okay. Y'all need some more time or y'all good? You good? So I'm going to ask if there's anybody on the call that would like to share. If you don't have to do all three, but just share one of your responses. I'd love to hear them. You might just want to come off mute and share.
So I can go first just to motivate and encourage everyone else. The third one, well, I wrote answers to all of them,
Okay.
but I'm gonna go with the third one because where am I reacting instead of choosing? And so one of the things my answer was I intentionally respond because there was a time when I didn't and chaos ensued. And so I just want to share the first question is, where do I feel most drained in my business? And so one of the things that I'm doing is building an effective team, right? And so my team is an amazing team, and I know it, and I know they're great, right? I know it, but sometimes they don't show up in their greatness. Sometimes they forget or lose sight of it. And I would say that's more draining for me, which then the decision that I'm avoiding is letting them go, right? Because it's easy in frustration to say, you know what, I'm done. It's time for you to go. But because I know they're great, it's not an option for me. Like, so I have to be intentional to respond and not react when they show up outside of their greatness. And that's huge for me, because when you know someone has the potential and they're not lining up, what is easy to do is to say, okay, you don't have the potential, I'll find somebody else. But that's not easy for me. It's what I do is help them to see it. And so I love your questions, and it made me think of last week I said to my team leaders, you know what? Last week I have been bombarded with a lot of I'm sorry. And I'm like, okay, I had to get to a point where I said, okay, I'm done. And I detached, right? Because I know how we attach ourselves and emotions to everything. So I detached so that I could better respond, right? So that I can show up the next day, slate clean, like not thinking about what occurred the day before, but showing up, being me, so that I can empower them to be themselves as well. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. And what you're sharing is so typical of business owners and even non-business owners. When you're in leadership, having a team member is a relationship.
Yes.
And a mutual relationship says that we have mutual respect. We're a team, so we're all pulling our weight. Yeah. And there are times when people come in and, they went to party the night before, whatever reason that they have. And sometimes the reason that they didn't show up wasn't that they didn't care. It was that their alignment and their energy was not on par. Remember, I think I shared with y'all, and I don't know if I finished talking about it, but it was the thought that leads to emotions that lead to an action. If your thoughts aren't good, if your thoughts are negative, your thoughts are catabolic, then your emotions are going to be negative and catabolic. And then that's going to result in an action that's not initially what you intended, which is why it's very important to understand what your vibrational frequency is, because it will also dictate how you show up. So that's part of the self-leadership model of understanding self. So thank you for sharing that, Dr. Kim. Who else wants to share? I would love to hear from you guys. Nobody? Shall I call someone? Let me see. Let me see. Y'all looking like, oh, please don't call me. Please don't call me. Prince.
I can share.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Prince, Eve, she saved you. Go ahead, Eve.
Okay, so the first question was, where do I feel drained the most? And for me, it's doing it myself. So I'm the type of person who I rather do it myself than to ask someone else to do it. It's not like I don't think they can do it, but I just feel like if I do it, I won't have to explain so much to another person. So in the end, I end up feeling drained. And the second one spoke about a decision I'm avoiding. So one thing I've noticed is sometimes I start to get too comfortable in one space and it makes me to become kind of complacent. So it's one thing that I have to work on. So I'm not too comfortable in a space and I'm continuously working to improve myself. So yeah.
Thank you for that. So, you're talking my language because those are lessons that I had to learn, Eve, and I'll share, back in the day when I started my business, I was solo, right? It was just me. And as I grew my business, there were things that needed to be done and it was quicker for me to do it. The problem with that is that you can only grow up to your capacity if you continue to deploy that strategy. Growth means that you have to scale. Scale means you have to bring on other people. And bringing on other people, you have to slow down enough to give them instruction on what it is that they need to do and then coach them through the process. And yes, it may take 3 times as long the first few times that they take it on when you could have done it in a flash. But the reality is, if you continue to do it, they will never grow, and neither will your company. So it's a catch-22. But as leaders, we're there to grow and nurture our team. We're not there to be doers. Otherwise, why are we leading? So I give you that as one of the challenges that I've had in the past and one that I really, really, really had to get over. So is somebody going to let Prince off the hook, or am I going to Prince? I can either take a volunteer or I can get Prince to share.
So can I piggyback off of what you just
Yes.
To take it even more internally. So as I was listening to Eve speak, and as you gave her feedback, taking it more personal in a sense of, instead of growing your business, because this is for personal, like you said, and business, it's growth within you. And so when, as Eve was speaking, I thought of the fact that she feels she want to do it herself, or she can do it herself or by herself, then she's eliminating the possibility of allowing support, right? Because sometimes we get in our head and we think that we can do this all by ourselves, and we cannot. And so we then eliminate the possibility of a support system, because I saw you wrote, I took notes. You said something and I have to go find it. But anyway, we eliminate that. So we don't go ask for support. We don't tell people that we need support in our lives so that we can continue to grow. We can continue to grow, because you said it. We only grow by ourselves to our own capacity. And so we need support and a support system around us, so that support system can lift us up higher and help us grow into what I always tell my team, who God created them to be. So I just wanted to piggyback on that. I don't know if I saved Prince or the next person, but I just wanted to share that from that perspective.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Kell. Is somebody saving Prince, or am I going to Prince? Prince, I don't want to put you on the bind, Prince. So if you don't feel like doing it, just give me a thumbs up if you don't feel like, or take yourself off mute and share us what you wrote down.
Well, Prince, I think you need to step into your greatness. How about that?
So I was still thinking through the question, but I think I got answer for the first one.
Yeah, just give me one. That's fine.
Yeah, for the first one, I think it's managing time. because I'm that kind of person who likes to do multiple things at once, and sometimes I will still be on the one and the other one will come in and like that to the way they can be difficult. Yeah, so thanks, man.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Prince. And I picked your name because I love Prince. So before we move on, does anybody else want to share? If not, I'll get you guys. Yeah, there's some more questions coming. So I didn't call you this time, but get ready. All right, so let me go back to sharing my screen. Let me find the button. I don't lost the button. Okay, here we go. Share the screen. Here we go. We are back, and I'm gonna go back into. Okay, so we did that. All right. So time can be scheduled. Energy management is as important as time management. When you just talked about it, Prince, saying that time and time management, and it is important, but energy management is something that we don't even consider. So energy has to be regulated, and if you don't regulate your energy, it will regulate you. So your energy, as you may or may not know, impacts so many things in your life. Your energy, and here's what one of the things that I tell people: you're responsible for the energy that you bring into the room. You walk into a room, and depending on what energy you're carrying, people can feel that before you even walk up to them. And in most cases, people are responding to your energy before they respond to anything you say or do, because your energy is this force field that's kind of around you. It's a net of vibrational frequency that you're carrying. And if you aren't careful, it could undermine your efforts with your clients, with your teams. It could undermine your negotiating skills. And at the end of the day, it could impact your revenue decisions. And you set the tone of your life and your energy, whether you're doing it intentionally or not. So if I know that my energy has the ability to impact every aspect of my life, I think that I might want to be able to be the one in control of it and it not in control of me. So when we talk about that first question of what's draining you, either in business or what's draining you in your personal life or just draining you, period. So some of the common things that drain us is when we have unclear priorities. Everything is priority. I have a client, a huge, one of the biggest employers in South Carolina, and we're doing some training for them. And one of the things that we did in this training, because we were doing some of the self-leadership, we were asking them kind of where some of their challenges were. And it was like everything that they get in their email is an emergency. And there are 3 different, 4 different, 5 different priorities. At least everybody else's priority is coming to them. So they feel like everything is a priority, and everything can't be a priority. So if you have unclear priorities, that's going to drain you. When you have unresolved conflict, when you had the argument with your spouse or your significant other, when you had a disagreement or a misunderstanding with a teammate, when there's a misunderstanding with your client, when you have issues that are unresolved and they just kind of sit out there, don't think you're not thinking about them. Again, thoughts result in emotions and emotions result in actions, and the process continues. So any unresolved issue will show up as an unresolved conflict. Financial stress without a strategy. I'll be honest with you, I have had so many situations where I had financial stress from back in the day when I was, still in high school, just got into college at the University of South Carolina, got every credit card in America mailed to me, and I signed my name on every last one of them. And when I tell you I had some financial stress back then, because I had way more credit and debt than I had income. My money ran out before the month did. So that was stress. I've gotten laid off. So when you don't have a job and you don't have revenue, that's stress. When you don't have the pipeline coming in and your pipeline dries up as a business and you're trying to figure out where am I going to get my next contract so that I can, feed the engine and pay my people, that's stress. But you can have a strategy. You can have a strategy, and we'll talk through that. And then as small business owners, sometimes we overcommit. people call us, can you do that? And I'm really bad in this area. I am so bad in this area because I would take on other people's stuff and just put my stuff over there in the corner. And I'd get to mine when I could and made everybody else's stuff a priority instead of mine. And I do tend to, or used to tend to overcommit. And I've had to step back and had a conversation with myself and say, it's only one of me. So sometimes no is a complete sentence. And for those of you who don't know how to say no, because it is a challenge trying to say no to people, sometimes it's not right now. People will come to me and say, well, Karen, can you do so-and-so, so-and-so? And I should say no, but to make it nice, I'll go, you know what? When do you need that? And they'll, okay, well, today's Wednesday, I need it Friday. Well, I tell you what, right now, the way my schedule is working, I cannot get this to you by Friday. However, if you give me 2 weeks, I'll be happy to put that in the queue and I might be able to work something out for you. Is that acceptable? And they'll say, well, no, I kind of need it by Friday. Well, guess what? That's your no then. And then you go find another resource because I can't overcommit. Sometimes it's not no, maybe it's just not now, but no is a complete sentence. And then saying yes out of fear of somebody not liking you, fear of somebody thinking bad of you, fear of somebody. No, you say yes when you need to say yes, but not from a place of fear. What drains you daily defines your ceiling. It defines your ability to grow. So we want to make sure that and for you could come up with your own list of common energy drains that you, after this call, you will start noticing, oh, you know what? That's kind of stressing me out. That's kind of putting me in this vibrational frequency that I really don't want to be in. And those are the things that are draining your energy. So we talked a little bit about reaction versus responding. And what I want to do is give you the difference between both. So when you're able to make the shift from reaction to intentional response, your whole life changes. So when you react to something, it's normally emotional. It's normally because if there's an emergency, it's something urgent. 9 times out of 10 is fear-based. And it's normally short term. And in some cases, you do have to react, in some cases. But as humans, we tend to be in reaction mode for almost everything. Whereas if we took a minute just to pause, just to give ourselves that split second to think, an intentional response is not emotional, it's actually grounded, right? You're coming from a place of a strong foundation. When you have a response, you can be very strategic in your response. You had that minute to think about it, to analyze, to do the process of elimination. When you're coming from a place of response, instead of it being fear-based, it's values-based. You can now make your decision based on what works for you. When you look at your core values, and we'll talk about that in a minute, when you look at your core values, you can say, okay, when I look at my core values in this decision, is this aligned with my core values and who I truly am? So is this decision that I want to make? And then it's also future-based. Instead of an immediate short-term, I need to make a decision right now for what's going to happen in the next day, you can be looking at, okay, well, what's the impact of this decision if I make it, and what's happening in 2 weeks and 2 months and 2 years? So that is the difference between the reaction and the response. So we talked about the reset moment, walking you back through it. So notice, what am I feeling right now? Name it. What's actually driving this feeling or this emotion? Neutralize it. So let's talk about neutralizing. How do I neutralize it? Neutralizing it means that I'm taking that moment, that I'm going through this breathing exercise, that I'm grounding myself, that I'm regulating my emotions. I'm coming back to what I call the present moment. Because a lot of times we are in this state of flux because we are in a place that's not the present moment. And I'll walk you through that in a minute. And then we talked about neutralizing, and then we navigate what's the aligned next move. Like if I want to intentionally respond, so what does that look like? Regulation restores access to your logic, your creativity, and your strategy. And that's what we want to do. We're trying to figure out how do we regulate our lives and our energy through this process. I'm gonna just inject this. So one of the exercises that we do with our clients is a core values exercise. And if I were to ask you, what are your core values? And I said, give me your top top 5. You would talk around it. You would give me some examples. But if I ask you specifically for what they are, most people can't tell me because they never really sat down and thought about it. But the reality is your core values are your GPS of life. Your core values dictate the decisions that you make, the people you hang around, the things that you do, the things that you don't do, the things that you accept. But we've never really sat down to sit back and say, well, what are my actual core values? What's important to me? So we take our clients through this exercise where we give them about 50 adjectives and say, okay, give me your top 25. And then we ask them to narrow it down from 25 to 20, 20 to 15, 15 to 10, and then 10 to 5. And that is not an easy process. And what I found is that most people, when I ask them for their core values, they give me their professional core values. Or who am I, when I'm at work? And I tell them that that's not what I want. That's not what I'm asking you for. I'm asking you for what are your core values? What is important to you when you're at home, in your house, by yourself, in the bathroom, in the bathtub? Who are you, right? Let's break it all the way down. And when you can identify what those core values are, when you're out in life and you're doing things and you're making decisions, your question to yourself after you have identified your core values is, does this decision align with my core values? Some people are on jobs right now and they're miserable. And it's like, well, why am I miserable? I'm not going to work for nobody 8 hours, 10 hours a day and be miserable. I'm just putting that out there. But there's some people that do it because they need the money, right? But you can make money doing stuff that you like. So I'll give you as an example. If somebody told me that their core values was peace and tranquility, don't work in customer service. There's just no peace and tranquility in customer service. So if that is truly important to you, then you might need to go find another job. But because you needed a job, you just picked the first thing that was out there. So when we talk about this thing called alignment, we want to be aligned with what our core values are. And then the other thing that I'll share is that as people, we live in 3 places. We live in the past where we're rehashing what happened to our life, why it happened, what happened to me, when it happened. Somebody did something to me, somebody said something to me. The meeting I just had, I'm really mad about it. I call that the mustard. Or the other place we hang out most of the time is in the future. Oh, what's going to happen when I get to this meeting? I'm worried about something and whatever. And the reality is 9 times out of 10, whatever it was that you had in your head as far as what was going to happen never does. So I call that wasted emotion. I call that emotions were money. You just wasted your money worrying about something that never, ever, ever came to fruition. So why did you put yourself in that situation? I call that the mayonnaise. So why you call that the mayonnaise and why you call the future, the past, the mustard? Because mustard is one of those things like if you put it on a hot dog or hamburger, you just put a little bit on, right? I used to work at Wendy's, so we would put a lot of ketchup, a lot of mayonnaise, but with a little dab of mustard, pew, pew, because mustard enhances the taste, just a little bit does it. But if you overdo it, it's really, 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 really bitter, and it will take over the sandwich. The mayonnaise, and so mustard, like the past, is one of those things where you remember the past, you learn from the past, but you just need to have it a little bit. The future is bland, like mayonnaise, and it can go with anything. So that's why I call that the future. But then the sweet spot is the ketchup. Ketchup got a little sweetness to it. And that's where you need to live, because when you are living in the present moment, your stress levels go down because you're not in your head worrying about what happened last week and worrying about what's going to happen next week. You are right here in the present moment, and this is where life happens. So if you don't get anything out of this session today, we want to talk about alignment. with your core values, and we want to talk about regulating your energy, but doing it in a way that you are living in the present moment. So that's my sidebar. I'm sticking with it. So moving right along. Engagement, how you show up. Engagement is not hustle, it's an intentional connection. We want to align by looking at the fact that alignment or aligned engagement with others, it builds trust, it strengthens partnerships, it attracts the right opportunities, and it reduces friction and burnout. But again, you have to show up with the right energy, exuding the right vibrational frequency, because people are responding to that. When we look at where we are as a community, you guys right now are in a community with Dr. Kim. And you're probably in one of the best and safest places that you can be. Because I can tell you, as an entrepreneur, it's lonely out there. You know, when I was working in corporate America, I had a boss that I could go to and get guidance, or their bosses and get guidance and direction. I had peers that I could go and talk to. I had employees sometimes that I could relate to. But when you're out here in this entrepreneurship world, it is lonely. It is very lonely. And it's good to be in a community of like-minded people and like-minded thought processes. I've been part of the Women's Presidents Organization. I've been part of a group called Vistage, where these CEOs come together and we talk and we compare and we lift each other up and we brainstorm together. And those groups are important. Isolation in itself is expensive, and you don't want to be by yourself. So entrepreneurs don't fail from a lack of ideas. They fail from a lack of perspective, support, and alignment. And you're in an arena right now where you're getting that support. You're in an arena where people can give you different perspectives that you may not have thought about, and make sure that they align with who you are and what you want to be. And then the community accelerates clarity and confidence. I will say this, my growth did not happen alone, and is not meant to be alone. So you want to be part of a community that's going to help you grow and prosper. So when we talk about energetic leadership, this means managing your presence, not just your performance. And when I say presence, again, we're going to go take it back to what vibrational frequency are you exuding? What energy are you carrying? You are responsible for the energy that you bring into the room. You want to set emotional tone before you speak. When you're going into that meeting with your team, when you're going into the meeting with your client, before you walk in that door, you need to have a moment of who am I, where am I? And I tell people, if you're not quite sure and you're not quite there, stand there with the Superman pose and just put your hands on your hips and put your shoulders back. Take some deep breaths. And that physiological change will help reset your energy and put you in a good spot. The other thing I want to tell you is that it's very easy to absorb other people's energy, which is why I'm very protective about the people that I allow in my space. And then you want to lead with regulation and clarity, because again, coming from a place of you're responsible for the energy that you bring into the room, I cannot tell you the times, and if I have time, I'll tell you about my marriage story. But it was a scenario years ago. I'm a positive person, and only other person that's more positive than me, I say, is Dr. Kim. But I am typically that person that I try to live in the present moment. I try to make sure that my level of energy is always on the positive side. Granted, I go there sometimes, but I don't stay there long. But here we are. I'm good. So I was working at NetBank at the time, and my boss lived in Jacksonville, Florida. I saw her once a month. I went to Jacksonville and she came up. And we had a teammate that also lived in Jacksonville, and she and I became very close. Her name was Mary. And we talked 2 or 3 times. Our work was together, so we talked anyway, but then we talked about 2 or 3 times a day, supporting our clients. And one day I remember on the phone with Mary, I hung up and I was walking up to the front of the building, and I just had a spot check. All of a sudden, the reality for me was like, I'm carrying this stress, this feeling. And I'm like, what is that? Like, what am I feeling right now? And I realized that it was a little angst. It was a little frustration. It was negative. And I'm like, what did that come from? Like, why am I feeling this? And I realized that I just hung up the phone with Mary and I had a conversation with her, and very subtly she said something, and then I said something, and she said something. And just the conversation that she started with me took me down this rabbit hole of frustration. And I was led blindly and went along. And I realized, oh my God, I just hung up the phone with Mary and she just put me in this tizzy for no reason. And it wasn't even my battle. Whatever the thing was, didn't even have anything to do with me, but I was still mad. And I'm like, where did that come from? And I was like, okay. And then I thought about it. I said, I wonder how many other times that's happened. I just didn't notice it. So I said, okay, I'm conscious now. You know, when you know better, you do better. And I got on the phone with her the very next day, and I was very present. I wasn't on autopilot. And she threw some bait at me. And she said, well, yeah, because Donna did so and so, so and so. And I, being aware this time, I was like, well, well, maybe she didn't mean it that way. I kind of diverted and then went back to my other conversation. And then we talked some more, and then she tried it again. And she tried it 3 times, and 3 times of giving me some bait to see if I would join the bandwagon, and I did not. Well, I can tell you that was the shortest conversation she and I had. Our conversations went from longer, 20, 15-minute conversations to 5-minute conversations. It went from 3 to 5 conversations a day to maybe 2, because I was no longer buying into what she was feeding me. And from that point forward, our relationship kind of went over. And there are those people that they just need a man corner, and they just stir up mess, very subtly, and they just want you to be part of it. And I wasn't about to be part of her misery. I was not going to do it. So again, even me, Miss Positive, even me, Miss Synergy Reset, even me, I'm coming to you, sharing with you things that I had to go through and learn, because you want this, not absorbing everything around you or other people's energy is so key, which is why I'm telling you, you need to be careful about who you allow in your space. So, business impact of alignment. This is how your business can be impacted. So when alignment improves, it sharpens your decision making. It actually strengthens your boundaries, because just like with Mary, I was able to put some boundaries up with her. Your confidence increases, your systems improve, and your growth becomes sustainable. Your internal clarity, what's going on with inside you, definitely creates external momentum. So here we are again. I told you we were going to pause again for some questions. Another reflection moment. I would like for you guys to answer these questions. What is one area I need to realign? Because we talked about alignment. What is one energy drain I will address after this session? And what is one intentional engagement I will make this month? So I'm going to give you guys about 3 minutes, a minute per question, to answer those questions. And then I'm going to see who's going to volunteer for me to share your information. Be right back. About a minute left. Okay. I have 3 minutes now. Let's see. So who wants to come on, and you can just talk about one of the questions, whichever one you choose. Who wants to share one of your responses? Or do I need to call someone?
Yeah. Can I go?
Yes, thank you, Abraham. Aaron, and I'll come to you next. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, for me, I will go the first one. I think I need to realign my focus because 2026 have been for into a whole lot of different stuff that is really eating my time, but I'm not really hearing the result that I need to get. So I think I need to realign my focus.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. And Aaron.
Yeah. So thank you for the presentation so far. So I would talk about the second question. So for me, one energy drain I would like to address would be overcommitment. Sometimes I tend to commit, and this is not just only in the professional space, even personally. I like to extend a helping hand when I can. So sometimes it really gets overwhelming, and then it affects and drains my energy. So I think that is one energy drain that I would like to address. Reducing my overcommitment, basically. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Definitely one of mine as well. Does anybody want to share one intentional engagement I will make this month?
Yeah. For me, one intentional engagement I will want to make this month is to strengthen partnerships. There are a lot of relationships I have with other businesses, other friends, and other like-minded entrepreneurs like myself. So I will make it intentional to strengthen that partnership because it may come in handy.
Very good. Thank you. And thank y'all for sharing this time. I didn't have to pull teeth to get y'all to share with me. All right. So anybody else before I go? Anybody else want to share before we continue? All right. Well, let's go back. Go ahead. Go ahead. Eve, that was you? Go ahead.
Yeah, that was me. So one energy drain, I already identified the energy drain, which was not being able to delegate and taking everything upon myself. So it's something I already started working on. And what I decided on doing was I'll identify what all needs to be done. And then I can look at which one I can do and which one I can ask another person to help me with. And so far, that's what I've been working with, and it's going pretty well.
Very good. So are all of you business owners? Most of you? So, I'll say it this way. If you look at your role, and let's say your role as the leader or the business owner or whatever is, you're charging, $65 an hour, right? For your efforts, because you're the brainchild. If you're charging $65 an hour, why are you doing $10 an hour stuff? And there are $10 and $15 an hour functions that you can delegate to someone else. But as the leader and the owner, the $65 an hour person doesn't need to be spending their time on administrative $10, $15 hour stuff. So that helps you decide what things you need to delegate. That's one way to look at it. All right, let's go. We're wrapping up. All right. So integrating the reset daily, when you do that, it shows up in your client conversations. You have much better client conversations when your energy is regulated and you are carrying that more anabolic vibrational frequency. It shows up in your financial decisions. It shows up in your staffing and your partnerships. And somebody else just talked about doing better with partnerships. It shows up in your boundary setting, and it shows up in your leadership presence. So doing these small resets, practice consistently, can actually create big results. So just make a note of these things that can help you. So what I'll share is what we've covered today is the foundation. Alignment and energetic leadership deepened with ongoing reflection, shared language, practical tools, and community support. Some leaders choose to continue this work inside our model of the Cineverse, a guided leadership and personal growth community. It's a resource, it's a space to practice, it's a place to stay aligned. So after you have worked with Dr. Kim, if you guys are interested in coming and being part of our community, there's the QR code. I invite you to scan it, to go and look and kind of investigate what's happening there, just to look at the continuation of having that type of support. The other thing I will share is I did a TEDx talk a couple of years ago, far left. Please scan that. That is the link to my TEDx talk. I look at it, if you comment after you have seen it, it's only 10 minutes, and share it. Again, this is my story about resilience and how I leveraged the energy that me and my family had during the life crisis. But I welcome you to look at that. And then join our mailing list. We do a lot with putting information out. My group mentoring program, which is Eat, Learn, Grow. When we do events, we just had a virtual one yesterday where we were giving out just great content at no cost. Our mailing list, we do 2 newsletters a month with just great content where we're trying to pour into leaders and small businesses. So I ask that you join that. I also did a series on the Synergy Reset. It started back in December. It's the Synergy Reset. We did 12 days of synergy. And then part 2, we just did another 10 posts. And then we are on our 3rd round now. But on my Instagram page, which is Karen R. Jenkins, SC, please go in and be a part of that. Again, still giving out great 1-minute content on how to practice what we're actually talking about today. How do you do the reset? How do you stay present? How do you create your alignment? How do you identify your core values? And these are all the things in the support that we do, all within our wheelhouse, either through the Cineverse, through our mailing list, or through our social media sites. And then follow us at KRJ Consulting as well, because again, we're putting out great content to help you and your initiatives. At this point, I will open it up for questions if anybody has any.
So if you have a question, please come on mic, unmute yourself, and come on mic and ask.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Kim. Thank you again, Ms. Karen, for the beautiful presentation. I would definitely say I have learned a lot this afternoon or this evening. Um, yeah. So I have two questions for you before you drop off. The first one is if a business owner feels misaligned in their business, what would you advise that they start with? Should they start addressing their mindsets or their existing systems or the boundaries they have put in place, maybe personally or business wise, or their relationships? So that is my first question. I would like you to answer that before.
So I'm going to always say that everything starts with you. So you are the common denominator in everything you just mentioned. So I would start with, who am I? What are my core values personally? Identify them, write them down, because that is your GPS. From there, I would ask, does your company have a list of core values? Your company core values are not going to be the same as your personal core values, but they will align, right? Once you have your company core values, your foundation and everything you do should be built on those core values. The decisions that you make, the partnerships that you devise, the things that you do going forward should be based on or aligned with those core values. Sometimes we're doing things and we're taking on commitments and we're saying yes to stuff, and that stuff is doing absolutely nothing to get us closer to our goals and objectives. It doesn't even align with who we are. So if you have at least that identified, everything else will fall into place. Your partnerships will fall into place. Your mindset will fall into place because now you have clarity. Remember, when we talk about alignment, when you get that alignment, when you understand that the vibrational frequency that you're carrying can be negative or positive, and you try to want to stay over here on the positive side, you get more clarity on where you're going and what you want to do. So I would say start with you and then move to the business. What's your second question?
All right. Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. So my second question is for business owners or leaders who are managing their teams, how can one reset their own energy without absorbing the stress or emotions of their team or their clients?
So awareness is the first one, right? And I'm not going to tell you that there are not times when you're going to go there. There are going to be times when everything is going good, you're having a really, really good day, and then you stump your toe. Or somebody's going to call you and give you some news that you don't necessarily want to hear. The thing is going to happen, right? So if your level of energy is here, and then something hits you, and then you come down here, people go down here. The question is, how long are you going to stay down there? And then I'm also tell you is I probably won't make decisions while I'm down here. But what can you do to move back up? First, you're going to bring your attention back to the present moment and not focus on the problem. You're going to bring your attention back to the present moment. How do you do that? You might have to do that by doing a breathing exercise. And it might be just taking a moment. And I want you to, so y'all follow with me really quickly because I'm going to be talking, so I'm not going to be able to do it with you. I want you to sit up in your chair, put your shoulders back, and I want you to take a deep breath in through your mouth, counting to 4. So here we go. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Blow out through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the exercise. You do that 4 to 5 times. You would be amazed at what that small breathing exercise, and you can take it up to 6 if you want, but it's 4 to 6, breathing in, hold 4 to 6, and then blow out 4 to 6. And do that 4 to 6 times. That will bring you back to the present moment. You're focusing on your breath. That will help you lower your cortisol. It will help you lower your stress and give you that small amount of time I told you that you would need to go from reacting to responding. The other thing, if you're really, really stressed, go take a walk. And you're laughing, but I'm telling you, I was at work years ago. And I told you I don't get mad about much too often. I don't know what happened at work that day, but I was so mad. It was just crazy. And I walked out of the building, and this was in the late 90s. Walked out of the building, I put my stuff in the car. And I locked the car, and I said, I'm just going to walk the parking lot. And when I tell you, by the time I got halfway down the sidewalk and up the other part, it was almost like a thermometer. Like I was so mad up here. And as I was walking, it was just like, and all of that negative energy that had built up in me and all of that frustration I had in me was gone by the time I got back in my car. So little stuff like changing your physiology will help you with that stress level. Questions?
All right.
Thank you for that, Aaron.
Yeah, thank you so much, man.
Who else got a question for me?
Okay, I have a question.
Nobody?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Okay, so I was saying I have a question. First off, thank you so much for the presentation. So this actually connects with the book that we're doing for professional development. It's the Letting Go Guided Journal, and it's really amazing. Anyway, so I learned about the book again, 4 steps.
Even what's the name of the book again?
Saying, the Letting Go Guided Journal by David Hawkins. Yeah. All right. So I remember you talking about the 4 steps. And the first one you said is to notice. And what I took down that is like to pause, take a break from what's going on around you. And the next step is to name it. So after you've taken that break, you have to identify what you're feeling. And then the third step is to neutralize. This is where I missed out on the explanation for that. And I was hoping you could like go over it a bit, the neutralize part.
So let's walk through it. So something happened, and all of a sudden, like when Mary was talking to me, and I realized that I was in this state, right? So one minute of, oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? Or what am I feeling? Right? So that's the notice. So once you notice it, I went through the process of, okay, why am I feeling this way now? So what y'all call it? What had happened was, so what happened? So name it, like name what the feeling is or what the cause of the feeling is. And then you neutralize it. And the way that you neutralize it is, one, the breathing exercise that I just took you through, the going to walk, right? Actually being present enough to even acknowledge that you're feeling that way is one of the ways to neutralize it. Sometimes acknowledging it is the simplest way, and for something minor it is, but when something gets a hold of you, sometimes it's going to take you doing some jumping jacks. It's going to take you going to do that walk. It's going to take you going and doing those breathing exercises to neutralize the emotion, to get it back to set at normal. Now that you're neutralized, right? You can go in and figure out, now I'm going to navigate. Now, before I take that next step, before I move, when I navigate, I can now respond. I can now decide, how do I want to move forward while I'm in alignment? Does that make sense, E?
Yep. It's all coming together. Thank you.
Perfect. And that's our synergy reset model or framework. Great questions.
Thank you. Karen, this was so amazing and so in alignment with what it is, like the space that I'm in and some of my team members on the call that we're in, and the book that Eve mentioned. So, it's a requirement for my team to do personal development. And you touched on so many things that I can call them out and say, okay, what did you take away from this that is in alignment with their personal development? And so thank you so much for this. It's amazing. One, when we talk about alignment and engage, harnessing the synergy reset framework. it's not only for business, but it's also for personal breakthroughs as well. And what I want to, like, I took like 2.5 pages of notes because it's what I do. But what stood out as you were talking and as you were sharing, burnout is real. It's real. Misalignment leads to inconsistency, right? And then the one thing that I always, and I even shared this with my husband, Lionel, that it's not about reacting, it's about responding, right? And it takes time to respond. When you do it immediately, that's a reaction. Energy is understood, but resilient without regulation leads to burnout. And so I wrote that down because in my mind, and what you have to do is you have to put systems and processes in place so that you can not get burnt out. I love the notice it, name it, neutralize it, navigate it. Like those 4 steps, and they're simple, just simple things. And then growth is not meant to be done alone, right? So, and I share with not only my team members, but also like my clients, my family members, that growth is something that you see. Like if you can't reflect back a month ago and see how you have grown from the 26th of January to the 26th of February, then something is in it, it's like you're in that fog, right? You can't, like you said, you can't see all that's around you. But you should be able to see your growth. And I truly appreciate this session because it is so in alignment with what it is that we do at Synergy, just like the Synergy framework, reset framework. So thank you, Karen. Thank you. What I want to share before I let go, we end this, that we're in the process of releasing one of my core products that's called For the Rest of Your Life, which is focused on re-implementing a rhythm of Sabbath or a rhythm of rest in your life. And you spoke about all the things that is in alignment with what we're about to do. I'm also doing a Heaven on Earth women's group with the Nehemiah community. And so that's really helping women to identify and be in that heaven, like that, Garden of Eden here on earth. And so I wanted to share that as well. But all of it is totally in alignment with what you presented today. And for that, we're so grateful. Thank you again and again and again. I want to say,
before you end, Kim, I do want to, and I'm sorry, y'all, I meant to do this.
Go ahead.
I'm going to share our contact information page. Y'all can see it here.
Good. I was about to ask that.
When you reset internally, you gain the power to navigate externally. So choose alignment over exhaustion, lead from clarity, not chaos. Yes. So this is our website. All the stuff that I mentioned, y'all, I think my TEDx talk, if you didn't get the QR code, the newsletter, signing up for that, all that's there. Hopefully y'all got the QR code. If you didn't hear, let me see if I can. So that's the QR code for the Cineverse. I'll leave that up for 2 minutes. Then and I'm going to give you the next QR code in a minute. What I am going to ask him, because we love what we do, and I hope that y'all love what we do as well, I'm going to ask y'all for a testimonial.
Okay.
Kim, I'm going to ask you for one in a different way. I'm going to ask Damien to reach out to you. I want to get one from you for the team. You can either give us a testimony by going out to LinkedIn, at Karen R. Jenkins, and doing a testimonial there. You can go to our website on Google with Karen, KRJ Consulting, and do a testimonial there. Or you can email, and this is the other one, the TEDx talk and the mailing list. You can email us at the email that's on their training at krjconsulting.com. And just, tell us, our clients love it when we tell them the impact that we make and what we're doing, but they love it even more when our clients hear it. And we would love for y'all to provide us with that testimonial.